In order to create a body that you're truly happy with, you're looking to lose some fat, but also build and tone your muscles. Now, for many people, this sounds a little daunting, but the truth is it's easier to accomplish than you think. Let me show you how. But before we get started, I'm Dr. Zyrowski, and I started my holistic health practice in order to help you take control of your health naturally, because true health only comes naturally. I also want to mention that I started a brand new community for the Wellness Warriors. If you want to join the Wellness Warrior community, text this number right here and I'll add you in. There was a time after high school where I gained a bunch of weight, and because I was not happy with the way I looked and the way I felt, I decided to take action and start a whole weight loss routine. Now, because at the time I knew nothing about eating healthy, I just kept on going with my really bad diet and started running. I did long distance running every single day, and soon enough I actually lost that weight I was trying to get rid of. Now, the great part was that I lost the weight. Now, the bad part was that I went from being fat to skinny fat. I was really thin, but I still had a belly. Now, remember, at the time, I had no understanding of exercise and eating properly, so I just thought that if I kept running, somehow things would magically get better. I remember seeing a picture of myself during that time, and I couldn't believe how skinny I was because I was doing so much running. So this led me to massively changing my routine up. These fluctuations all happened in my late teens. Since then, I've taken hundreds of hours and courses in order to truly understand how the body works. I've also helped countless people transform their body composition. Let me explain how. And before we get into this, it's also important to realize that both men and women both benefit from strength training. There's this false notion out there that if a female strength trains, that she's going to bulk up, become a bodybuilder, have veins ripping out, and turn into the Hulk. Let me tell you, this scenario is highly, highly unlikely. Men and women build muscle differently due to hormone differences. So doing some strength training is going to be very good in order to build lean muscle, protect the joints, improve the cardiovascular system, improve bone density, and also it's linked to longevity in pretty much every way. My wife, who once believed in that ideology, started lifting weights, and now she realizes how important it is, and she would tell you that it gives her the ability to be strong, lean, and also have a womanly figure. She lifts weights about 4 days a week and then does cardio 2 days a week. She was even surprised herself on how much weight she actually lifts, and she still has never turned into the Hulk. But in order to look toned and also build strength, you have to be lifting weights. And remember this too, that the muscle size that you have is in direct proportion to the amount of weight that you lift. Many men get very upset because their muscles aren't big enough, and it's likely because you're just not lifting heavy enough weights. Chart the weight that you're lifting and strive for growth each week. It's also important to realize that strength comes slowly. It does not happen overnight. According to the research, in optimal conditions, you'll gain about 1 to 2 pounds of muscle per month. That's it. So continue to work out hard, lift heavy weights, and the strength will come. I currently lift weights about 3 days a week and do cardio 2 days a week. In order to maximize my effort, I'm a huge fan of using essential amino acids. When you look at the research, if you combine exercise with the essential amino acids, it does a lot of good things for muscle growth. According to the research, essential amino acids have also been proven to improve post-workout recovery time, which is very important for anybody who's just getting into exercise, because let's face it, you're gonna be sore all the time, which can make it very difficult to go into your next workout if you don't recover properly. It also is going to help decrease exercise-induced muscle damage. It's going to promote protein synthesis, that muscle growth, and then also modulate exercise-related cytokine production. Now, there was another study out there by Borshim and others, and according to his research, here's what he said about essential amino acids. Essential amino acid supplementation is great for lean body mass. Okay, that's what we're going for here, and a good lean body is a healthy body. Strength, we're trying to build strength. Also, muscular retention. Okay, if you know anybody out there who's aging, we definitely want to make sure that we're using these EAAs. And then lastly, it helped improve all functional parameters of the muscle. So this is very important for somebody who's trying to get that lean, strong body. The essential amino acids are low calorie, and they fit into a muscle building fat loss program far better than any of these high calorie protein shakes do. They also help you curb your appetite and eat less throughout the day, and I'll teach you why this is so important in just a minute. I personally use an amino acid that was based off 17 years of research looking at athletes all around the world in order to determine the proper ratios of amino acids in order to build lean strength. I take 6 6.8 grams, which is 1 scoop, within a 10-minute window post-workout. Now, you don't want to be taking more than 10 grams of amino acids in one sitting, simply because it's highly likely that could break down into sugar and cause fat gain. Each scoop only has 5 calories compared to a protein shake, which may have upwards of 150, 250 calories. Now, another thing that you can do in order to improve strength is supplement with creatine. The creatine is highly research proven to improve creatine within the muscle tissue, and the results that you'll see from it are these. It shows that we can get heightened energy production, decrease muscle fatigue, and also the creatine is going to help reduce lactic acid output. When we look a little bit further into the research, what we find is that it offers significant improvement in body mass, fat-free body mass, oxygen uptake, sprint performance, weightlifting volumes, and overall exercise performance following creatine supplementation has all been demonstrated. Now, creatine is a great way to pour a little extra fuel on the fire when you're trying to start building some strength. What I typically like to do personally is I'll use it about 3 days a week when I am weight training. I won't use more than 3 grams of creatine per weightlifting session. And what I typically find too is that men usually like it more than women, because women aren't trying to really push that raw strength. I only use it for a short period of times. I wouldn't recommend it being a long-term thing that you're using day in and day out for years. So we talked a lot about how we can build strength, because that's a very important part of this process, but let's turn our focus a little bit and now focus on how we can efficiently lose fat. Have you ever heard this saying that abs are made in the kitchen? Well, this saying is incredibly true. If you're going to the gym, putting in all that hard effort, but you're not focusing on what you're eating, you're just putting a lot of hard work in for nothing. It's so important to make sure that we develop good eating habits during this time. And I know that there's plenty of workout gurus that are teaching you can eat pizza and cake and all this junk food and still be super fit, but it's not just about aesthetics. It's about being truly healthy from the inside out. I highly urge you, if you want to get results, that you focus on eating a whole food diet that's low in sugar and refined carbohydrates. And then from there, focus on eating a micronutrient dense diet that's going to promote lean body mass. We also want to get rid of all those empty calories. We're thinking the sodas, the sugars, the candies, the desserts. We want to get rid of those foods and then focus on increasing our protein intake. What I'll do is I'll put a link in the description to the best diet for you to follow during this time. The next step that I want you to take from here is using intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is incredibly powerful for mobilizing the fatty acids in your body so that you can start burning fat for energy. Intermittent fasting is also going to boost growth hormones so that you can start building strength, so that you can actually start becoming more toned. And from there, the intermittent fasting is also going to be muscle sparing. When we're in that fasted state, our body burns the fat for energy but spares the muscle, which is incredibly powerful for building lean body mass. Conventional wisdom tells us that we'd have to eat 6 small meals a day to accomplish these goals, but what modern science shows us that in order to make building lean muscle and losing fat much easier, we can shorten our eating windows, and it offers incredible results. The best method that works for most people is going to be the 16-8 intermittent fasting schedule, where you fast for 16 hours and eat all your meals within an 8-hour period. The key to figuring out how much food you should eat is in figuring out your maintenance calories. Sure, by eating a healthy diet and also being very mindful of the food that we're eating, we can get really far. But in order to really dial it in, we have to monitor calorie consumption. Now, once you figure out your maintenance calories, you have to really look at yourself and determine what your goals are. If you're somebody like me who is skinny fat, you were looking to build muscle, build strength, then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add a calorie surplus of around 10 to 20%. Now, if your main goal is to lose fat and on the sidelines you want to gain some lean muscle, I recommend you do the opposite, where you do a 10 to 20% calorie deficit. For many people, they try to deficit too much because they're looking to aggressively lose fat, but here's what I recommend. You do this instead. You lean into a healthy diet, you focus on intermittent fasting, you focus on staying very consistent with your exercise, and even throw in a 24 to 48 hour fast every so often. People who try to calorie deficit too harshly tend to just totally mess up their metabolism. It's also very important to mention that for fat loss, you must focus on reducing stress. Stress comes from many sources. It can come from work, relationships. It could even come from you pushing yourself far too hard during this process. Regardless of where it's coming from, the one thing that's certain is that high stress raises cortisol and blocks fat loss. In this conversation conversation of stress is a huge one for me personally. When we look at all the topics we just discussed, there's going to be ones that you struggle with. Stress is mine. I have 4 kids. Sleep is a huge struggle for me. I mean, we have a teething toddler right now, and he's probably only sleeping 3 hours a night. And then on top of managing patients and lots of hours at work, there's a lot going on for me. I used to be really disciplined with myself to where, and even harsh on myself to where I was like, it doesn't matter if I only got 3 hours of sleep, I'm still waking up and I'm still hitting that workout at 5 a.m. But I would have to say that today I've become a little bit better with it, because one thing I've realized is that if you have all this stress in your life, it really counteracts your hard work. For instance, it makes changes in your brain and it causes you to crave sugar, so that you're not only craving sugar all day and probably eating poorly, but it also, this excess stress causes you to consume more calories. And then it also, as I mentioned, raises cortisol, that stress hormone in your body that breaks down your body and it blocks the fat loss. So there's so many negative things that happen from stress that we have to make sure that we're looking at this key element. We're getting proper sleep at night. We're working to reduce stress, whether it's, through some, walks outside in nature, whether it's through some deep breathing exercises. I tend to find that not only is this my struggle, but it's a major struggle for many people as well. So focus on reducing stress in your life. The next step is learning how to properly eat for weight loss. To do so, watch this video right here. If we want to actually start losing weight, we want to remove sugar from our diet. This is very important. Now, the thing is here is when we remove sugar, we're gonna automatically see our bodies start to heal.